everyone, I'm back with yet another model railway review, and I have to say folks, this one is quite a interesting one. Now for a first glance it does just look like a standard SDS Models box with what you would probably think would be a standard NR, but in this box is quite a interesting livery, and of course I just couldn't refuse it. If you don't know what it is, I'll go ahead and flip the box for you. It is NR76 in the Overland Proposal livery. So this livery was going to appear on one of the NRs, presumably NR76, but unfortunately never did happen. But it is also just DC, so unfortunately I couldn't get this one in DCC, but that doesn't really matter to me because my Overland set only seems to run well on the DC track, so hey, that works for me. I have to say I am a little bit annoyed that this did miss out in my Overland review video for the Overland cars, but I'm still happy I was able to find this. But now let's go ahead and get this box open, just like that. And first off, we do have just a little instruction piece of paper here just telling you how you can turn your lights on and off on DC. And here is the model itself. As you can see, go ahead and take off the plastic holder and take out its box. There you go, just looking at it now, it does look very nice, but I'll go ahead and quickly take out all the foam. Here is a close-up look of what was going to be the proposed Overland livery for one of the locomotives. I have to say, it does look fairly nice, doesn't it? It is honestly quite a shame that this livery did never end up being a real thing. I can sort of understand why though this didn't end up happening, because of course it being an NR, it probably wouldn't have done the Overland that common, so it wouldn't have really made sense to just paint one locomotive and, you know, never really have it pull the Overland, probably. So I guess that's sort of the reason why they didn't bother doing it, but it's still a shame nonetheless, because this would have been awesome to see in real life. Yeah, so once again folks, I really do quite like this livery, but now I'll go ahead and get a bit of track out and we'll of course go ahead and test it. Because it is only DC, I only need to run it back and forward a few times just to see if it works, so no need for the DCC control this time. But now let me go ahead and get some track and we'll see how this thing runs. Alright, Loca's on the track, now let's go ahead and see how she runs. Apart from the noise, it does seem to run pretty well, at least. Yeah, a little bit of a noisy motor, but still, it does seem to run pretty smooth. And as you can see, the rear lights seem to be working pretty well, which is good. Well, now it doesn't seem like you can see the marker lights, but that's just with my eyes. You might be able to see it on the camera, but I'm not too sure. I don't want to go too fast, obviously. Risk damaging, you know, this thing or have it fall off the table. That's definitely not something I want. Well, I have to say everyone, so far I am quite impressed with this model. It is a little bit noisy, but as I mentioned before, that's pretty standard for SDS NRs. But it does run fairly well, so I'm quite happy about that. But now, we'll go ahead and go to the Corio Model Railway Club and have it haul the Overland cars and see what it would look like with this proposal livery on a real Overland train. So let's see what that looks like. Does anybody want a sausage? Alright everyone, it's time for my final thoughts and conclusions for this NR from SDS Models. So I will say it's pretty much what I did expect, being a standard NR from SDS, that being a pretty good model. It does run fairly well. I didn't have really any problems of it slowing down or doing a crawl or anything like that. It did run fairly smooth. It was a little bit jumpy at the start, but after running it in, it is now running pretty much smoothly, which is obviously really good. And of course, for your standard SDS features, such as all the lights and all the detail that's on the model is also done very, very well. I would still say that I really wish that SDS did start adding little people in their cabs. Hopefully they'll start doing that fairly soon, but who knows. Now, my only little gripe with this model is just the fact that it is definitely on the noisy side, but apart from that, I've got no other complaints. It is still, as I said, running fine, so apart from the noise, I don't really think there's anything I need to worry about. But of course, the main reason why I did end up getting this NR was, of course, for the very interesting livery that was on it. I have to say, SDS did do a really good job with this livery, considering the fact that there were no prototype pictures that they could go off with. Of course, it is a bit of a shame that we never did get this in real life, but if this was the plans for a locomotive to be in this real paint scheme, it would have definitely looked very awesome, but sadly, at least currently, it doesn't look like we're going to get that as a true livery on a real locomotive, which is a bit of a shame, but at least we've got a beautiful model of it to show us what it would have looked like. But overall everyone, that was my review on the Proposed Overland livery from SDS Models. So overall, of course, I hope you guys did enjoy this review, and I hope to see you in my next one. So take care everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.